Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
So let us take a deep breath together and begin our time in prayer. So we welcome you here this morning to this sacred time, to this sacred place here on the Unity of Gaithersburg campus in our sacred sanctuary. We're grateful to everyone who have tuned in this morning. And so we just invite you now to take a deep breath into your heart and center yourself to be blessed by this time in spiritual community. And so as we breathe deeply, we feel our heart connection. Even through the distance, we know our oneness. And with grateful hearts, we open ourselves to be blessed, to be uplifted, and to leave this time knowing more truly, more fully what we are. And so it is. Amen. And now Edie will come up and share some transformational opportunities with us.
This week's transformational opportunities are also detailed in our community newsletter. Receive next week's edition by sharing your email with us. During this time of suspended in-person activities here at Unity of Gaithersburg, remember to check out our Facebook page, newsletter, and website to keep current on updates. On Wednesday afternoons from 5 to 6 p.m. on Zoom, we're offering a co-hosted Hump Day Happy Hour. Let's come be happy together. This is a time of community connection and lighthearted fun. To sign up, go to the event on our Facebook page and click Going. You can also email admin@unityofgaithersburg.org to register. On Wednesday mornings, Rev Cheryl is facilitating a Zoom midweek morning meditation at 9 a.m. To sign up, email admin@unityofgaithersburg.org or reply Going on Facebook on the event post to get the Zoom link. And our Zoom community chats are continuing on Sunday afternoons from 4 to 5:30 p.m. This is for those who would like to come together, check in, and have spiritual conversation. Today's topic is to further discuss the message today on imagining and knowing. Click on the meeting link found in the newsletter or go to the event posted on our Facebook page. See you soon. Hear ye, drum roll. The Big Spring, now Fall, Prosperity Fling online auction is happening. Yay! We'll be accepting donations from August 2nd through August 31st. Bidding will be September 6th through the 20th. And be thinking about any virtual services, experiences, classes, subscriptions, etc., that you would like to donate. Gift cards to restaurants, grocery stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, florists, food delivery, as well as gift baskets, all will be welcomed. This is going to be a slice of joy in the midst of this difficult pandemic time and will greatly support our spiritual community. Thank you in advance for joining the fun. And lastly, our Jim McGalliard has an announcement to make today. He has an invitation for you.
Hi. So, Reverend Cheryl often talks about social justice issues generally and racial equality specifically. And our community is already active in many of these areas, putting our consciousness, time, and other resources into diverse activities such as celebrating Black History Month and the Season of Peace and Nonviolence, donating money and food and other items to charities like the Angel Tree Project and the Manna Food Bank, participating in the Women's March and the March for Our Lives, our rainbow flag, and our policies of diversity and inclusivity, among others. Speaking for myself, I was excited about Cheryl's messages during the month of June. The book she cited talked about things that we can and should do as individuals, but I was also excited about the prospect of us doing more collectively than we already do. Our founder, Charles Fillmore, said that it is our collective consciousness that accounts for the current shape of the world, and we can use that collective consciousness to make things better. Speaking for myself, I offered to see to the placement of a Black Lives Matter sign in our front lawn, and Cheryl and the board have accepted this idea. In the wake of the death of George Floyd, demonstrations around the world, and Cheryl's talks, I wonder if others in the community would like to see collective activities above and beyond the many that we are already engaged in to support racial equality specifically and social justice generally. If you do, I ask that you email our admin office. The address is admin at unityofgaithersburg.org. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Let's all discern what is moving in us to participate in making a difference. And now, please center yourselves as we reflect together on today's daily word. Our focus, imagination. Our affirmation. With the power of imagination, I envision new possibilities for my life and the world. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore explained imagination as the faculty of mind that images and forms. It is the power to shape, form, and thought. Imagination is the spiritual attribute that supports my awareness of infinite, divine ideas and illumines my inner wisdom. Consciously thinking outside the box, I embrace doing things in innovative ways. As I go into prayer and meditation, my imagination flows with new ideas, new ways of being and doing. I visualize people lovingly collaborating together. My mind and heart embrace creative, inclusive ways to be in relationship with others and call forth peace. I put these ideas into action. My power of imagination inspires me to be different and do different things. As I allow and open to this inspiration, my inner knowing surfaces to inform me of next steps. With the power of imagination, I envision new possibilities for my life and the world. I move forward with joy and clarity to make them a reality. And from Mark 9:23. And Jesus said to him, all things are possible. And now let's prepare for meditation by singing All Is Well.
As I close my eyes and the world disappears, I can feel my breath rise and fall. There's a light inside that dispels all my fears, and I hear a gentle voice calling. All is well, 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 all is well.
So I just invite you now to take a deep breath. And wherever you're seated, just allow your physical body to sink into the chair, the cushion. And take 2 more deep breaths to inform your physical body and your mind that it's time to be still. peace, be still. And as we do each Sunday, we begin our time of stillness and reflection by focusing on the movement of the breath as a way to shift our focus from busy thoughts, from body sensations, from any distractions that keep us from being fully present and available in this moment. So let's just begin now to follow the movement of the breath as it moves in and moves out. That gentle flow. And if the mind, with its thinking, thoughts, and busyness, seek to distract that gentle focus, just mindfully shift back to following the movement of the breath without judgment. Just compassionately shift your focus to the breath moving in and moving out. And in this space that's created from mindfulness, let us take a moment to call forth our power of imagination and activate it to bring to our mind's eye and to our heart a vision that we hold for our world. What is your truest, most beautiful vision of our world? What is happening in this most beautiful vision of the world in your heart and in your mind? What do you see? Unleash your power of imagination to think outside any preconceived ideas of what's possible, and allow your imagination to take you to your most beautiful vision, your most beautiful version of the world expressing. Allow yourself the gift of imagining. And as we move now into a time of silence, I invite you to keep calling forth and allowing your power of imagination to reveal to you your heartfelt desires for our world. how you see it expressing, how you see people relating, how you see our beautiful earth. Imagine now, in the silence. I just invite you to take a deep breath into that beautiful vision that's now awake in your mind's eye and activated in your heart. And what's beautiful about the power of imagination is that if we can see something in our mind's eye, it is completely possible. And so what is ours to do now as we hold that vision is to imbue it with knowing and action. And keep cultivating this vision in our quiet time so that we can stand clear and confident that it's possible, and what is ours to do to unfold it. So let's take one more deep breath. And for our power of imagination, we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Through my day, feeling lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. I move through my day, feeling lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. All is well. I move through my day, feeling lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. I move through my day, feeling lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. All is well. Don't break my heart before I give it to you. Don't tell me no before I ask you to. Don't say it doesn't fit before it try it on. There's too much to lose to be wrong. And it feels like there's something here, but I want to see it before it disappears. If there's something real between you and me, well, are we both open to all these possibilities? So many little possibilities right in front of us, and close enough to touch, and far enough to have some time to see all these possibilities, these possibilities written in the stars. We are who we are, and I can't help but think that possibly there's possibilities. Don't give me hope if there's nothing to this. Don't let me in if you're not there. What I'm feeling may not happen every day, so please play me fair. And it feels like we could come together where we never saw eye to eye before. When we look for something higher, we can leave our differences at the door and focus on these possibilities. So many little possibilities right in front of us, close enough to touch, far enough to have some time to see all these possibilities. Oh, these possibilities written in the stars. We are who we are, and I can't help but think that possibly there's possibility.
Thank you, music team. So wherever you are, turn to the person next to you and say, I'm so glad you're here. And if you're by yourself, I'm so glad you're here. Well, during this pandemic time, I have decided to start reading more. And especially since the death of George Floyd, I've really wanted to read more from a perspective of what is mine to do to learn about racial inequity and what can I do from that place of knowing more. And a powerful book I just finished was Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It was amazing. And I just want to recommend it to you because it's important to be aware of and understand what it's like to grow up as a black male. This book is a letter to his son, and it's eloquent, honest, and incredibly powerful. And another book recommended to me, which I just finished reading, is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Both of these books are on the New York Times bestseller list. And this particular book's theme and focus is how to be true to yourself. And she shares her journey to know who she is with unabashed honesty and rawness. And it's empowering and inspiring to me, and it relates to what we've been talking to, I think, over the last several weeks. It calls the reader to take action from an authentic, emboldened place, from our true selves. And so I wanted to share some of Glennon's wisdom with you today that relates to what is ours to do to co-create a world that works for all. So how do we create that world from a higher vantage point, a higher consciousness, a higher and deeper, actually, understanding of all that we are? And so I think you get the gist that today we're going to talk about imagination and how we can activate that power to co-create that world. So let's explore our power of imagination. And as you heard in the Daily Word, Charles Fillmore calls it the faculty of mind that images and leads to our desires taking form. It's through this faculty that the formless takes form. It's a spiritual attribute. It's one of our 12 powers, which are divine ideas and attributes of our divine nature. All of us have the power of imagination, whether we feel like we use it or not. So especially right now, as we look at our world, and I know there's many of us that are looking at what's happening and we want it to be different. We don't want our world to be showing up the way it's showing up. And so in that inherent is our power of imagination. Because at some level of the brain, we're envisioning something other than what we're seeing and experiencing on the news and in our lives. So the first step in having something and creating change in our lives and the world is we have to be able to envision it. But for some of us, that can be hard because I've heard some of you talk about how you kind of can feel a little stuck. When there's so much chaos going on, it can almost be numbing. And how do we really move forward? How do I really know what's mine to do? It can feel difficult to even allow ourselves to distance ourselves from what's unfolding around us to hold something different. It can feel impossible because all we see is what's swirling around us. In the midst of our hurt and pain and anxiety, it can take a lot of energy that maybe we don't feel like we have to envision and hold space for a different world, to outpicture. Doesn't mean we don't want it with all of our heart, because I think we do. It can just mean that it can be difficult to imagine it and put any semblance of faith around it when all we hear in the news is the opposite. But I think we get to start calling forth our power of imagination, to start imagining and putting our faith in a world, what we want it to look like. In the midst of of that imagining doesn't mean we sweep what's keeping it from under the rug. Imagining a world that works for all isn't spiritual bypassing, it isn't denial, it's standing in a higher place. It's imagining and holding a higher vision and consciousness than the energy that created the challenges around us. Because we know, what we know, is that we're never going to be able to create a world that works for all from the current energy that created it, from a belief of separateness and fear. So in the book Untamed, Glennon Doyle reminds us, she says, perhaps imagination is not where we go to escape reality, but where we go to remember it. We get to consult not what's in front of us, but what's inside of us. I love that. Remember it, rejoin, re-know what's true from an awareness of our true self. And like we explored in the meditation, she invites us to ask these questions. What is the truest, most beautiful story about your life that you can imagine? What is the truest, most beautiful story about the world that you can imagine? The truest, most beautiful. I love that. And she says, each of us was born to bring forth something that has never existed. A way of being, a family, an idea, a community, something brand new. We are here to fully introduce ourselves, to impose ourselves and ideas and thoughts and dreams into the world, leaving it changed forever by who we are and what we bring forth from our depths. So we cannot contort ourselves to fit into the visible order. No, we must unleash ourselves and watch the world reorder itself in front of our eyes. Boy, is the world ever calling us to step into that imagining right now. The world is not only calling us, our inner self is calling us disguised as our discontent. See, whatever's breaking our heart, whatever our discontent is right now, that's our imagination nagging us. When we feel dissatisfied, your imagination is trying to get our attention. It's saying, hey there. And usually what it's saying is, not this. I don't want this. But by knowing what we don't want, we can get to what we do want. It's an important part of getting to and embracing the truest, most beautiful vision we can hold. And so Glennon says, sit with that. Ask yourself, what is the truest, most beautiful vision you can hold for your life and for the world? And as you start to see that in your mind's eye, she encourages us, write it down, because these are our marching orders. And the next step, she says, is that once we write it down and we can see it, we have to imbue what we've imagined with faith. You know, Charles Fillmore said, faith is a deeper inner knowing that that which is desired is already done. And I know you've heard the scripture from Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the assurance of things not seen, the evidence of things not seen. Faith working in spiritual substance is what calls forth our desires. And remember that faith is what activates spiritual substance. And spiritual substance is the creative energy of the universe. Another name for spiritual substance might be God or spirit. Whatever you feel is that creative energy in your life. When you imagine your truest, most beautiful vision, you imbue it with faith. What you do is you clothe that imagining with spiritual substance, with that creative energy of the universe. So we imbue this vision and we claim it and we allow it and we see it out picturing. And then the next step is that we spend time in the silence of our being, accessing our inner wisdom. Every day we spend time being still and turning within. And we activate that wisdom because that's where we get clarity about how we take action, what our next steps are to unfold our vision. You know, in Psalms 46:10, and I know we've heard this so many times, but it's so important. Be still and know. Be still and know. The silence within us is that place of enlightenment. It's where our wisdom is activated, where we can be informed about next steps, because no one has your wisdom but you. No one has your answers but you. So Glennon Doyle recommends these steps in how to access our knowing. She said, when a moment of uncertainty arises, and it certainly will, because the vision that we are calling forth is bigger than us. So often it will challenge us. She said, when that happens, breathe, get still, turn inward, and she calls it sinking into that space within us, that knowing place, and feel for the knowing. And do the next thing it nudges you toward, and let it stand. It is your truth. And then she says, repeat forever. So Glennon talks about how she discovered this skill because she was at a place in her life where she was trying to do the right thing about a job that no longer fit for her and a marriage that was dissolving. And a friend sent her a card with that same scripture, be still and know. And she's like, okay. She read it over and over and realized it didn't say poll your friends and know or scour the internet and know. It meant stop doing and know. So one day, even though she was thinking it was completely nonsense, the kids had left for school and she decided to shut herself in a closet and try being still for 10 minutes. It felt like an eternity, she said. But eventually, she got the hang of it, and she started to practice this daily. And she started to notice profound changes in her life. She began to be able to transcend the external chaos and access underneath it all a low, deep, quiet stillness. She would pose a question while she was in that place and begin to feel a nudge that would fill her. The nudge was a compass directing her to the next thing. She said it was a knowing that she described felt like warm liquid gold filling her veins and solidifying just enough to support her in feeling clear and confident. It was a knowing. This knowing is available to all of us, and it transcends our shoulds and have-tos and all the external chaos. It supports an awareness of our true wisdom, of what we truly are. I think our knowing is our greatest tool for peace and for turning what we have imagined and held in faith into reality. So this week, I'm just going to ask you to curl up with the questions. What is your truest, most beautiful vision of your life? What is your truest, most beautiful vision of your world? And just allow your power of imagination to unleash itself. And make sure you have a pad of paper and a pen and just write it down. And then look at it and let it sink in and call forth your faith. Imbue it with spiritual substance. Claim that vision. And sink into your knowing. Get into that place of stillness and sink into your knowing and ask, what is mine to do? You know, that question that I love. What is mine to do? And allow your knowing to inform you of next steps. And allow it to unfold. And then we get to take action, folks. And I love what Jim was talking about today. So what is ours to do as a community as we hold the vision of the most beautiful, the truest, most beautiful vision of our world? And what is ours to do to take action? So let's affirm together. My imagination and faith call forth what is true and beautiful. My inner knowing informs the next steps I take to unfold this vision. I move forward with clarity and confidence. And so it is.
And now, it is time to give from our unlimited abundance and open hearts. For those of you joining us online, which is everybody, thank you for going to our website or newsletter to give your gifts. You can also text to give. Here is some prosperity wisdom from the 4T Prosperity by Stretton Smith. Surrender limitations to make room for new thought processes, new inspirations, new visions. The burdens you carry dissolve in proportion to your willingness to surrender to your divine self. And as we each give online, we affirm this offering blessing. Divine love, I am, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am so grateful.
I look around and I find people just like me, doing what they can do to fulfill their destiny. Ask them and they'll tell you, boy, these times are pretty tough. You can work at 3 jobs and still not have enough. Not have enough. Oh no, I can see a life unlike the one in which we're living now. A world that works for everyone. Place where each and every person's dreams come true somehow. A time for doing what we love and having fun. We'll be having fun. Whoa! We'll be having fun. We'll be having fun. I could read the headlines, but they leave me feeling cold. Every day's a crisis somewhere, and it's really getting old. I watch us scramble for a bigger piece of the pie. Do we keep on struggling till it's time for us to die? I'm not ready to die. I can see all of us with everything that we desire. As soon as we believe we can, giving our attention to the things that set our hearts on fire, the hopes and dreams of every woman, child, and man. A woman, child, and man. Whoa! A woman, child, and man. A woman, child, and man. And I know how unlikely it seems. How could anyone live on their dreams? But appearances aren't always true. But just beyond what you see is a life that could be. Yeah, yeah. Whoa! I'm living in a place that feels exactly like it should. I feel at peace with where I am. I'm also grateful for the certain coming of my good. I hold this vision as the place from which I stand. This is where I stand. Whoa! This is where I stand. Oh, this is where I stand.
So now let's join together and sing our peace song.
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God our Creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With we can live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. 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 Amen.
Have a beautiful week, holding and knowing the truest, most beautiful vision of your life in the world. And so it is. Blessings.